Go ahead, guys. Shoot away.
What do you like about playing these kind of matches?
Well, it's a quick trip for me, being in LA. And you go out and play, you're supposed to play James, obviously, but to play a great guy, it's a challenge for me to keep up with these guys. They do it every day. I do it once a month. So it's tougher for me to move around and to recover from some of these points. And so it's fun for me. It keeps me at home focused and kind of sharp. And kind of keeps me in shape. And to go up here and play in front of, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000, which was great. And it's fun. At 37, to be retired for 6 years, go out and play decent tennis. The fans enjoyed it. So it's good for me. I'm not looking at anything more than just going out having some fun, playing well. I still have a lot of pride in performing well and not embarrassing myself. So tonight I felt like I showed up a little bit. It was a little spotty at times, but I played okay.
What's a typical day for you these days?
Well, I wake up with 2 kids with a lot of energy. So that's the first thing in the morning. I take my kids to school. I play golf. I train. I work out. I play a little poker. I play a little basketball. I try to not have too much fun. I can't just do recreational fun things. I like to just still be in shape and hit a few balls every now and again. Play some exhibitions. And spend time with my kids. And now that I'm retired, I've got the time to spend some time with them on the tennis court, the driving range. I can take them to lunch. It's really a lot of fun. They're getting to an age where I can take them out 6 and 3. So it's a lot of fun versus the first 6, 7 months of their lives. It's a little different.
If you had to advise Federer on how to beat Nadal, what would you tell him?
Well, I've seen them play on every surface now, and I was really curious to see this hardcourt match because they haven't played on hardcourt in a long time, and I was very obviously, look at clay as Rafa. Grass should be Rodger, but he lost him last year. But a hardcourt, I was really curious to see how that match would go. And if I were Rodger, I would try to come in a little bit more, especially on my serve. Rafa stays so far back. To serve ball every now and again, just to put it in the back of his mind. Because they get in these rallies, and as soon as Rafa gets one ball to his backhand, he's controlling the point. And it's tough for Rodger to sort of keep up. I think if he came in and mixed it up. I mean, that's what I would advise him to do. He's close, just going to his doing. And he's a few points away from winning these matches, but I'm sure he's frustrated, and he's playing fine. Rafa's just an animal. The guy can play all day, play at a high level for hours. And to do what he did in Australia, to play 5 hours 2 days before, 2 days before, to come back and win the finals, the guy's incredible. You just have to sort of tip your hat off and say, got tons of respect for this kid.
Has he called you?
No. I just leave him alone. I'm not going to bother Rodger. He's trying to figure this out. He was pretty hurt from the loss, and as you saw there, and he's so close to my record, he can taste it, and it's going to happen. I think we all know that. I think you have to look at Nadal now as someone that is going to be looking to win as many majors as anyone. He's 6 majors in 22. If you do the math, he's going to be right there.
You never had a negative record against one of your major rivals like Rodger has against Rafa, and the discussion about the major Nadal and becoming the greatest of all time. He's been going on for a couple of years now, and he's won a record, but he's 6 and 13 against Nadal. So even if he ties you, can you actually call him the greatest of all time?
Well, like I've always said, even throughout my career, even today, I don't think there's one greatest of all time. I just don't. I think you have each generation, you have your guy. Laver, Borg, myself, Rodger. When it comes to the numbers, Rodger can very well have the most. But he's dominated the game much more than I ever did. It's the greatest of all time is too much of a open-ended question. It's hard to answer that. There's nothing defined. And I understand your question. He's 6 and 13 against his rival. He's got to figure it out. He's got to figure out how to beat this kid. And I think he obviously has the game. But greatest of all time is, look at Rafa, what he's going to do in his career. He could go on and win all the majors. Everyone's compared to Laver in his 2 majors, 2 Grand Slams. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say there's one guy clearly the best. I feel like at my prime, I felt unbeatable, as does Rodger. So, when it comes to numbers, he'll have more than anyone, probably Rodger. Yeah. But he's got to figure out how to beat this kid.
Pete, there was a few occasions in your career when you shed some tears, and were you surprised at how emotional Rodger was after the loss?
A little bit after a loss is, I think it has accumulated now from Wimbledon to here to Australia, and I think he was just sort of pent up frustration and just really hurt in some way. I'd like, after a loss, to feel that emotion. I mean, I've been emotional on the court for different reasons, but after a loss, you sort of keep it together. But, I felt for him at the time. I mean, he's frustrated and he wants it so bad, and to be at that breaking point, it's affecting him a lot more than I thought. It's really sort of hitting home. But, he's an emotional guy. He beat me at the Wimbledon match there, and he was in tears. And so I think he's that sort of player. Internalized a lot of things like I did, and you sort of hit the breaking point. And I think it happened for him. It was just kind of caught me off guard when it happened, but it just goes to show how much he cares, how much he wants it. But he'll be fine. He'll recover, and as soon as he gets back to playing, he'll be fine. But motivation will be a tough thing for him over the next couple of months. Just having to play some of these events, it's a grind.
Does it get hard then when you're at the stage where you one-time tournaments and these one is Indian Lessons games to continue to be motivated for those when you're looking at these bigger prizes, or how's that?
Yes. Yes, I mean, you still want to play well, you still want to be sharp, you still want to go out and show your dominance, but you get to a point when you've won so many majors to go, not to disrespect these events, they're great events, but to go and play for a first-round match, it's like, for all these other guys, it's a career win to beat Rodger. And if he's not on top of his game, he's had some losses this year. So I think he's getting to a point where it's only about the majors, but he knows he's got to play well leading up to the majors. But, when you hit 28, 29 like I did, it was like week in, week out, just the grind of the tour. And when you won a lot of majors, you sort of have to find that passion to win and to dig deep. It's tougher as you get older.
You see what happened with Rodriguez the last couple of days in cycling, Alex Rodriguez. I mean, you sort of look back at you were playing and wonder more about what was going on.
I lost you there.
Alex Rodriguez and the
steroid.
Yeah. I mean, you sort of look back and wonder what was really going on.
With him?
No.
In my sport?
In your sport.
No. Never thought twice about guys cheating. It wasn't part of our sport. We've had a few things happen over the past couple of years that you wonder, but in my time in the 90s, I never felt guys were cheating, were on any sort of substance abuse. I mean, I really didn't feel that. So, baseball's a different animal.
Do you think the tour's doing enough right now?
Yeah. I mean, we had this guy knock on my door, 8 o'clock in the morning, wanting to drug test me, so they're hunting you down.
Did you watch the Australian Open final live?
2 in the morning, you crazy? I got 2 kids, trust me, you need your rest, but I watched that and the Super Bowl at the same time. I was going back and forth. So I saw the tape of it. And I was just curious to see how these guys would play on the hard court.
What did you see? I mean, you told us after what you thought Rodger might have done. During it, were you thinking, come in more? Or
well, I just feel like what I see is, and when I notice guys that I play that stay back so far up on the return, I said, I just get into the net. And if you don't win those points, at least it puts something in the back of his mind that, he can't just hit one ball to my backhand and all of a sudden we have these rallies and you just can tell that Rafa just gets it to his backhand and he sort of controls the point. Or I think Rodger just mixed it up a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying serve ball at every point. I'm just saying every now and again, mix it up. And in the 30-love point, try it. If it doesn't work, at least in the back of his mind, he said, "Oh, Rodger's coming in. This is odd." And so, especially with the guy standing that far back, I just feel like I'd be chopping at the bit at that.
Pete, Andrew Bynum will be back in about 8 weeks. What's it going to take for the Lakers to take out the likes of the Celtics?
Well, I think we're seeing it. We're seeing some defense. I'm not a basketball expert, but they're hungry. They were embarrassed in that last game last year, I think, with Bynum, and I think there's a sort of a defensive presence they've shown in a 6-game road trip, and they've won all games. It's pretty impressive.
You were the member of the greatest generation. This generation with Rodger played. very good. The generation behind them doesn't seem to be producing anyone substantial. I mean, Query seems to be, okay, 34, 35, but then there's no one really in the top 100. Can you make any sense of that and why that's happening or what can be done there?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know why these things happen. I think each country goes through cycles. You're right, it is pretty thin after someone like Query. I don't have an answer. Maybe you try to get more kids playing tennis at a young age, getting the USTA more involved, trying to get them back to different areas of the country. I don't know. It's just getting a little bit thinner, and we can't see that. I mean, American media and fans, they want to see the best, and we want Americans to be a part of that. Don't have the answer for you. I just think it goes through cycles. It might be, I think the 90s would think everyone was a little bit spoiled with what we had, and we're in good shape now, but Annie and James aren't quite to that echelon of the game, and after that it's a little thin, so I don't know why. It's just the way it is.
Would you ever consider coaching as a top guy, taking him under your wing?
Just do my BlackBerry. BBM's a great device.
You don't like traveling?
Well, no. It depends what I'm traveling for. But no, I found myself wanting to help. It was some of those young Americans from in my home, and I found myself wanting to help these kids, and I do. But and the USGA they've contacted me about helping out, but I think they don't really have their act together when it comes to me helping. I feel like I can give back a little bit to some of these kids, but I guess I don't know much.
Pete, did you watch Federer play Rodger Federer?
No.
I didn't see that, so you didn't.
But I know what happens without seeing it. Rodgers gets his serve back, and they just said, let's go. He said, let's run.
Right.
He's better on the run. He's a better athlete. Roddick has the power, but it's hard to play. It's a bad matchup for him, essentially, what I'm saying. It's just they play similar games, but Rodgers just that much more efficient around the court. He's a better mover. He's more talented. Roddick I think he'd rather play Nadal, I'm sure, than Rodger.
So regardless of strategy with Roddick, unless Rodgers a bit off, it's not going to make a huge difference.
3 out of 5 on a hard court is tough. I think Roddick can maybe beat him on an indoor fast, 2 out of 3, just sort of blow him off if he's serving huge. But in that sort of situation, I saw him play the Open final that one year. He's just a little bit better. And he's just down there.
When you first faced Rodger at Wimbledon that year, did you know that he was going to be that special of a player?
When I played him, he was incredibly talented. I mean, he was a great shot maker, and that's where he showed his talent. And then it was a question of putting it all together. And doing what he's been able to do is more than just playing great tennis. It's a lifestyle that he's willing to lead. He wants to be the best player in the world. His life is tennis, a lot like mine was. So it's you don't know that question until he goes through it. Like what he wants out of his life. And he set up his life with his girlfriend and his management. Just tennis is his priority. And he sort of answered that question over the past 3 or 4 years. But at that match, that's when you saw his talent. Now he's developed a lifestyle and a game that suits him, just winning a lot of majors and staying on top of the game. So being number 1 or 2 or whatever, it's a lifestyle choice. Some guys are willing to do it, some guys aren't.
What impresses you about Nadal? I know his playing style is, not yours, but what about his whole demeanor and attitude?
Incredible athlete. He might be one of the strongest in the mental side, if not of all time. He and Borg are the two best ones I've seen. He has this mentality of a marathon runner, where as tired as he is, mentally he's so strong he just keeps going. He never gives up. He plays every point like it's his last point. And he's talented. He moves great. He's got a heavy forehand. He's serving a little better. He's in his backhand a little bit deeper. I mean, he's improving, this kid. And now he's got a fear factor. Guys are scared of him just because of his way he hits the ball. He doesn't quit. Tons of respect for this kid. But I just want to see someone come in on him. One of these guys.
You said a couple years ago you thought the volley seemed to be going extinct. Is there anything that's making you think the opposite?
Yeah.
Is it going?
I just watch Wimbledon. I just see the lack of serve volley tennis, and no one's, you know, guys are coming in, but they're doing it out of sort of necessity, not out of strength. It's too bad. That's gone.
Did you think about Nadal as someone who, you know, chased down your record before he won the Australian Open? Or has he suddenly made himself part of that conversation?
He's now made himself part of it. He's got such a long way to go, and Rodger's has made it look so easy over the past 3-4 years. But I think Nadal's getting to that point where he's 22. He's got 6 majors. You do the math. You know, he's going to be around for a long time, and everyone talks about his body breaking down. If he's smart, which he is, he just focus on the majors and play enough to be sharp for the majors. So he can do it. He's got a lot of work to do. I mean, Rodger wins a little bit easier, with less effort. But Rafa is just, he's an animal at 22. He's got to keep this up for a while, though. But I think he can.
But first, you weren't really thinking that until he won this last major.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when he won Wimbledon, he was at 5, and then if you just sort of add up the Frenches, he's going to win. He's won 4 or 5 Frenches. I don't know. What was it? 4. I mean, he could win conceivably another 3 or 4 there. That's 8. The U.S. Open will be a tricky one for him to win because that court's a little bit quicker. He can win a couple more Australians. Wimbledon, he'll be right there, I think. It'll be interesting. I think Rodger, as soon as he breaks my record, Nadal's going to be after him.
Do you think Federer in the wake of this Australia is going to enter one of these days we're going to have a lot of crowd support? Do you think that's going to help him sort of like maybe the later phase of your career?
Maybe. Yeah, I think the fact that he showed emotion and people are feeling for him. I mean, you can't feel too bad for a guy that's won 13 majors. But when you start losing a little bit more, and what had happened to me when I hit 28, 29, that, you know, you see a human element, a vulnerability that you don't see when you're 25 and kicking ass. So I think he'll get he's a popular guy anyway, but I think now he's, you know, especially in Paris, if he gets there against Nadal, he'll have a lot of support. You know, and it just, him showing that emotion, I think people feel for him. So, you know, but I think Nadal has his fans, so it'll be an interesting year.
You had close relationships with your coaches. Can you describe maybe what Rodger's missing by not having that sounding board there with him?
I don't think he's missing much. I mean, Rodger's a pretty confident guy. He's pretty independent. He's had some coaches, but I think he's sort of kept these coaches at a distance. This is what I feel. You know, Rodger knows what he's doing. He's won 13 majors pretty much on his own, playing his style of game. So I don't see him getting a coach for a magic pill, how to beat Nadal. I think he just, you know, is playing fine. He's going to maybe mix it up a little bit, and he's right there. It's not like he's getting killed by the kid. I mean, he's right there having a few points here and there to win a Wimbledon. But it's just not happening. He could go out and beat him the next couple of times, but mentally, I think he's in his head. I mean, I think we all know that. He's gotten in his head, and but a coach, I don't think will fix that. I think he's going to go out there and get through it.
Keep in touch with Andre?
You know, occasionally, a few text messages every now and again. You know, I know he's pretty happy just being a dad and a husband and just doing a few things here and there, but I don't see him ever playing again.
What's the reaction when Mr. Sampras walks his 2 kids into school?
They all kind of just clear away. No. Yeah, we take him to a public school and just take him right to the door and give him a hug goodbye, and you know, people are friendly and nice, and I just hop in my car and go home.
Do they come up and stare at you or want to shake your hand or anything?
I talk to a few parents here and there, you know, but I don't stick around too much. But you know, I try to lead a normal life, and I happen to be a famous tennis player, but I don't go around thinking I'm anything more than that. Just my dad, and trying to teach my kids some lessons and be a good dad for him.
How often do you play exhibition matches, and when can tennis fans see you in action again? I'm
going to play Leighton Hewitt in Memphis in a couple weeks or a week. I'm going to play an event in Boston. Jim Courier has a couple of his things I'm going to do. Might go to South America. It just, whatever pops up, it's worth my time. I'll make a trip here and there. So I'm not going to play a ton, just a few here and there.
And when's that Memphis match scheduled?
On Monday night. Is it next Monday night? Leighton Hewitt is come on now. I feel like playing him, but I'll be all right.
Any World Series of Poker events on your calendar this year?
No, just home game. Yeah, so cool, guys. Oh, see you guys down the road.